So, Mike, I have a question for you because we're going to be talking about books that have the something, who did the what, or had the what. So I want to say, if you could give yourself a Girl with the Dragon Tattoo-esque title, what would your title be for yourself? Or would it be easier if I gave you one and you gave me one?
The boy who edited podcasts.
That's a good one.
Thanks.
That is a good one. Very just matter of fact.
What would you be, Chris?
I think the boy who runs his mouth too much. Oh my God. Definitely not the girl with the dragon tattoo or the girl who kicked the hornet's nest or the girl who played with fire or any of the titles. None of those titles apply to me, but they all seemingly apply to the character that we're going to be talking about through both Swedish and American film / TV series / TV miniseries / sequels / reboots, whatever the hell they are. There's a lot of stuff going on here, folks. On this episode of the Kulturecast, I am still your host, Chris Stachiw, much to the chagrin of many, and I'm joined by my good friend, the man who edits podcasts, the boy who edits podcasts. He's the host of the Projection Booth podcast, Mr. Mike White.
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for having me.
Always, especially to talk about something where I was like, hey, Mike, you want to do this? And you're like, yeah, which means there must be something here that resonates with the two of us. But on this bonus episode of the Kulturecast / Projection Booth, I think it's a crossover because we haven't done one of these in a while. We're going to be talking about the collected film and TV adaptations of Stieg Larsson's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. I guess that's what it's called.
It's the Millennium series.
The Millennium series. Right. And also not the Millennium series because one of these movies has nothing to do with that.
Right.
Oh,
right.
God. But yeah, we're going to be talking about the girl with the dragon tattoo, the girl who played with fire, the girl with the hornet's nest, and then we'll touch on the American remakes / reboots as well. So without further ado, let's kick it off with the girl with the dragon tattoo.
I need a research assistant.
She's one of the best investigators I had. She's different.
In what way?
In every way.
Lisbeth, I want you to help me catch a killer of women.
Rated R.
So the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo film came out in 2009. It is directed by Niels Arden Oplev. It is based off of the award-winning, critically successful, massive hit 2005 book of the same name by Stieg Larsson, and it stars Mikael Nyqvist and Noomi Rapace as Mikael Blomkvist and Lisbeth Salander, an investigative journalist and a hacker, but she's so much more than that to so many people who are tasked with investigating a decades-old serial killer / missing person / weird Nordic murder that becomes a genre into itself more recently. And, we get to learn all about what makes Lisbeth Salander the girl with the dragon tattoo and what makes Mikael Blomkvist a character that's interesting in one movie and completely sidelined in the rest. So, Mike, I'm going to kick it to you immediately. Why are we doing this episode? Me and you right now on a snowy Monday night. It's not snowy out. It's like fucking 80 degrees outside. Why are we talking about the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series and this movie specifically?
It's snowing somewhere, probably in Sweden. It might be snowing there.
Right. Lucky them.
I think it's because we both like this series so much and because it does present so many strange offshoots and things, and might have at one point been a series on Amazon Prime, but we never got that because I think it was supposed to start sometime in 2020, and there were some things that happened in 2020. So at least we don't have that to have to talk about. We've got 5 movies that we need to discuss. So, of varying quality. But for me, this first one with Noomi Rapace and Mikael Nyqvist, great movie. And I've seen this so many times. I think this and the other 2 of these Millennium series I've seen multiple times. Though when I was rewatching them yesterday, I was like, I don't remember this. I don't remember this thing either, but it might have been because I was watching the 3-hour each version of them. So I don't know how many times I've sat down and watched 9 hours of Dragon Tattoo in a row.
Well, and that's the thing. The American movies are a much smaller ask, and I think quality kind of goes with that, at least in the regards of that second film that they released. But these first three Swedish, I would say the official adaptations. It's Swedish author, Stieg Larsson, Swedish actors, Swedish language. This first one is head and shoulders the best of these original three. I have a controversial opinion I will share later. I'm not sharing it right now, but this is the best of the three. And Mikael Nyqvist him and Noomi Rapace have such good chemistry. Just like that is what these movies more or less stake their claim on, is you're expecting a sizable amount of chemistry between the two leads, because it's really their story in this movie. I think in the second and third movie, it kind of very much becomes Lisbeth Salander's story to a fault almost. But I like that this first movie is these two are brought in for something else. And it's this other thing that's driving them, and it's their own personal attachments to it that make it important, because Lisbeth is very much invested in righting the wrongs of violence towards females or women in Swedish culture, I guess. It's fairly prominent, as it is around the world, unfortunately. But in the book, they put a statistic right at the beginning. It's like 60% of women in Sweden have been victim to sexual assault, sexual violence. So it's like that. It's bringing those two characters in to investigate the serial killing and that the kind of the mysterious disappearance of Harriet Vanguard that makes it so interesting. Once we start focusing on them more, I feel like all this kind of falls apart.
Yeah, I like, we'll talk a little bit about the second movie, but there's also kind of a mystery in the second movie, but then that ends up being a very small mystery compared to what this one is. I mean, this one goes back in time 40 years, and it's this very cold case, but Blomkvist and Salander are able to, unlock it. And I really appreciate the way that we're given, Blomkvist at the beginning and all of his legal problems that are going on, and that Salander, you think maybe she's tied up in that, and just the way that we go back and forth between these two characters and how he gets introduced to this mystery and then how she eventually comes along. It's it feels very much like a novel. It feels very much told in a very different way than you would tell a normal movie, which is great. I think that's one reason why this is such a standout movie, is that it just feels different, and it's not, here's this girl, here's this boy, here's the, and like, they're not really like, they fuck, but they're not really a couple. And I really like Lena Endre in here as Erica Berger. I think that she's a great foil against Blomkvist. And then even the woman that plays his sister is great as well. So all of these characters really add something to this.
Well, and that, again, it's going to be kind of hard not to bring it up, but I think because this is the only one that really has an American comparison, I think this is the time to compare them.
Okay.
In the original Swedish one, they do such a better job of really giving us an idea of who Mikael Blomkvist is outside of what's going on here with his case. I mean, in the book, because I've read the book, I think 2 or 3 times now, and they do a really good job of spending a lot of time in the early portions of the book talking about why he is doing Millennium, where he came from, the whole Kalle Blomkvist thing, about where he gets that nickname from, which again, for Westerners or Americans more specifically, we have no idea what that is, because that is a Swedish thing that they are referencing that they have to explain pretty, I feel like in the Swedish version of the book, they don't have this long explanation as to what the fuck this is, because people just understand. But I appreciate that in the original version of this movie, they spend so much time fleshing out who he is. And the American version is almost 2.5 hours as it is. It's not much shorter. It's just interested in doing something else. In a lot of ways, it's more focused, and I think it ties into the later 2 Swedish movies. This movie is more focused on the characters, really giving us an idea of who Salander and Blomkvist are as characters, and then letting them go off and do things. And again, in the second, third movie, we'll talk about the successes there. But in this first one, they give them a perfect amount of characterization that is lacking in the American one, because in the American one, it does just feel like Daniel Craig. It doesn't feel like he's playing a character, which is fine. It's the best thing I've ever seen Daniel Craig in. I am not a Daniel Craig fan, but here, Mikael Nyqvist is he's playing a fully formed character who feels world worn and kind of a little beaten down, which adds to the investigative journalist nature of him. Daniel Craig just seems so slick. Like, he's Daniel Craig, guys. We know.
Yeah, it's really amazing to realize that Nyqvist, I mean, he is known here in the States, apart from Dragon Tattoo, with him being the main bad guy in John Wick, and then also being along for the ride in Ghost Protocol, one of the Mission Impossible movies. And then the poor guy, he passed away in 2017. You know, it's like, because I really feel, and I please correct me if I'm wrong, that Nyqvist is Blomkamp is a stand-in for Stieg Larsson. It feels like Stieg Larsson's like, if I were to be a journalist, and I know that Larsson was, I would be this guy. Fuck all the consequences. I'm gonna do all this cool stuff, and I'm gonna, fuck these hot women and stuff. And so I'm like, oh well, he died early, and then freaking Nyqvist died early as well. It's like, you didn't have to get that much into the character, dude.
Right. I was thinking that when I was rewatching them this time, I was like, this is just like wish fulfillment. Right. And Stieg Larsson talks about, he's interviewed and he's gone on record talking about like where these books came from. And if memory serves me right, I think it was something like he watched his friends gang rape someone when he was like a teenager. Jesus. And he didn't do anything about it. And like now he is like, that's like what he is invested in, is like trying to like, I guess, atone for that. But he's and like, look, that's the other thing about this movie. And that's, I think this series in general, it's not for the faint of heart. Mm-mm. Especially if you're talking about, and again, it's outright misogyny, but like that's the intent. We've had this discussion, you and I, both together and separately on our own shows, about like things that are misogynistic towards women. Should we be watching them? Should we be supporting them? Should we be talking about them? Yes, because this is entertainment, and we're not watching someone actually beat the shit out of a woman, guys. Like fictional characters. Right. Like, and clearly for Stieg Larsson, it's a layer of catharsis to him to create this character and play this character out, because Lisbeth Salander is a victim of sexual assault twice in this movie. Well,
that the original Swedish title of this movie is Men Who Hate Women. I mean, there's no dragon tattoo in the original title here, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
And the title, I think that title is apt. I think that title could have worked just as well as The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Mm-hmm. Well, because the dragon tattoo is barely a thing so much of the time. And I mean, it's very tough to see. I mean, it's probably a great tattoo, but I've never actually seen a close-up of it where I'm like, oh, what eloquent pen work that is.
Right. It's, I mean, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is, it has nothing to do with anything. Like, it's just a tattoo she has on her back. I guess there might be in the more recent trilogy, because now there's the Millennium Trilogy, then there's the trilogy that has to do with another character that they introduce, and Lisbeth Salander, and then there's a new trilogy. In that new American movie, they do kind of allude to there being something about the tattoo.
Right. Like it's covering up something.
Yeah, I forget. And maybe they explained it in that movie, but yeah, I think the title would have been just as fine with Men Who Hate Women, because the entire kind of idea that the two of them are investigating a serial killer who butchers women and like presents them in ritualistic ways. And then Salander has to deal with her conservator, sexually assaulting her, like all of that. It's like, that is the undercurrent of this movie. And frankly, I mean, the entire first 3 books is all about like the societal ways women are treated. And like, again, like putting Salander in a conservatorship because they think she is like mentally deficient. Like, all of that just ties into it. But yeah, that is the one thing that, like, if you've never seen these before, A, why are you listening to this if you haven't seen them? B, just know if you watch these, there's so much like violence towards women. It's rough. It's rough to watch. Like, it is. There's a lot of really just brutal things happening towards women that are very small and petite. Very few of them are like able to stand their own in any of this. This is not like a Ellen Ripley situation. Right. Lisbeth Salander is a badass, but she's not an action hero, Fede Alvarez.
No. But
I like Noomi Rapace so much in this movie.
Oh, she's great. She is so great. And just this movie made me fall in love with her. And yeah, she's been in some real garbage, but when she's in great things, she's wonderful.
Garbage as in Prometheus?
Garbage is in Prometheus, yes.
Sherlock Holmes?
I enjoy that Sherlock Holmes movie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember if I was a big fan of What Happened on Monday. I remember liking the idea of it better than the execution. She was in one called Rupture that I liked a lot. But then she was in that awful Bright movie. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah. And I haven't seen Lamb yet. I really want to, though.
I've heard mixed things. I've heard it's an A24 film if you've ever seen one.
Okay.
and it looks like one. It has that aesthetic, right? And her look ties into that aesthetic. Noomi Rapace is an interesting looking actress. She has a very unique and distinct look that really works for the character of Lisbeth Salander, who's meant to feel at odds with the world that she lives in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she pulls that off really well. And just, the use of the makeup and the hairstyling and everything really helps set her apart as well. And then all of the piercings. And, it's amazing that when this came out back in 2009, it was probably a big deal that she had a full back tattoo. Whereas now it's like, yeah, and.
Right. Right. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I do want to mention, because again, we have this opportunity now and it might pass us by. What do you think of the other actresses who play Lisbeth Salander?
I'm not a big Rooney Mara fan. Just something about her puts me off. And I don't know if that's, and I hate to use this term, but I don't know if that's because I know she's a total Nepo baby and just like, oh, hey, I want to be an actress. Okay, here you go, honey. You can be whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's a Nepo baby from rich parents, not from people who are already in the industry, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it's not a fast track.
Right. I haven't seen Carol yet. I would like to see Carol, but so many of the things that I have seen her in, I'm just like, yeah, okay. They don't do it for me. So it just might be the movies that she's in rather than her, but I don't know. Just like I'm trying to think of like Han and
Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that adaptation.
No.
Nightmare on Elm Street. She was Nancy, and
right, yeah.
So.
She's actually not bad in that, but that movie is that movie has a lot of problems.
It definitely has problems. So
yeah.
I haven't seen Women Talking yet, so maybe she's really great in that. But I think she does an okay job of Lisbeth Salander, but just I'm not that big of a fan of her. And then Claire Foy, I mean, we'll talk about that movie, but barely remember that movie I tried to watch that movie twice and I just couldn't get into it. I like Claire Foy a lot, but I don't know if she's a great Lisbeth Salander.
I get it with Rooney Mara. There are just some actors that we just don't resonate with. Like, for me, speaking of the American Dragon Tattoo, Robin Wright is someone that I just don't resonate with. Everything I've seen her in, I'm like, are you the female William Hurt? Are you just disinterested all the time? Is that your thing? Which, I mean, hey, cool. If that's your thing, that's your thing. William Hurt made a career out of it. I think Rooney Mara is the best part of that Girl with the Dragon Tattoo movie. I think she's pretty good, actually. I don't know. Like, I get it, though. That character is meant to be played a very specific way. And I think the three actresses who have played that character have all brought something very different. I think Noomi Rapace's character is a lot warmer than Rooney Mara's. I think Rooney Mara is very cold, but I also think that plays very much into what Fincher is going for in that movie. I mean, that movie is visually arresting with the usage of the snow and everything, which is surprising because it almost feels like they're overcompensating because this movie has none of the
Right.
It's almost like they're like, hey, what do people know about Sweden?
Snow.
It's cold. So everything's cold and white and gray. And then you watch these original three, or at least this first one, and you're like, there's not a fucking cold anything. Like it is kind of when Blomkvist is there at the Vanger kind of like compound, but in the American one, it's just like overbearingly white and gray and just so like feels like really does feel like they're overcompensating. I'm not going to complain because I like it, but you watch this and it's like it's just when you see how two directors approach the same source material, it's so shockingly different. Because I would feel like more people would appreciate and resonate with this one because it's a much more straightforward retelling of the story. And it does a better job of setting up where this story's gonna go. Mm-hmm. The American one doesn't seem at all involved with where the story goes from here. Almost like they knew they were going to have to fight to make a sequel. So they weren't necessarily too worried about going out on a limb to talk about all the backstory of Salander. Mm-hmm. This one does. I mean, there's a lot of it injected throughout. And I think for me, like a lot of things in filmmaking, not knowing your game plan ahead of time maybe doesn't always yield the best results.
Are you talking about those Star Wars sequels again?
Yeah, right. Hey, say what you will about George Lucas's movies, but at least he's the one who made them. Like nobody else can take credit for them, good or bad. And that's the thing. These three Swedish movies feel very of the same tone. And I appreciate that because this first movie sets the tone so well, introduces the characters so well, gives us something to chew on. I feel like they maybe aren't it seems like they're less interested in the case in this movie and presenting the case and kind of investigating. The American one spends a lot of time on like the nitty gritty, true crimey stuff. I think that's David Fincher. Like he loves that. I mean, Zodiac, Manhunter, Girl with the Dragon, like he loves it. This seems a little less interested in talking about the case and more the characters.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, the case is definitely there at points, but yeah, we are learning about the people as much as we're learning about the old cold case.
Right. And there are scenes in this one that aren't in the American one, like when he goes to the house and the guy pulls the gun on him. Mm-hmm. And there's just a lot more, I wouldn't say set dressing, but just a lot more area and room for them to kind of travel. And they really make the most of a 3-hour runtime.
Oh, yeah. 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 And like I said, I like these side characters that they have. I like that you get to know the people at Millennium very well, that you get to know the sister, that you get to know, I mean, my favorite character, Plague, he shows up whenever she needs help, Lisbeth needs help. And yeah, just getting a little bit more of her and just when that information is being doled out, I think is really important. And then getting to know the shitty people that have been screwing her up through the system this whole time, and that her former caseworker, I love that guy so much. But yeah, just I think these characters are so much more well drawn, and I don't know if that's just because I'm having to read what they're saying rather than hear what they're saying, but I just feel like I know these people a little bit more.
I think the American one was trying to satisfy the wrong. Wouldn't that be wrong? I mean, that's a me opinion. It was focused on something different than what this is focused on. Mm-hmm. It was focused on being atmospheric and weird, and Fincher. I mean, Fincher makes it his own visually. He didn't write the screenplay, obviously, but he makes it his own visually. But I think that kind of speaks to maybe the issue with that movie versus this one. This one is involved in telling the story of the characters. That one's involved with telling the story of that murder and how those characters solve it. Yeah. And in a lot of ways, the reason I like the American one so much is because it is just a standalone movie. There's nothing else. It ends. There's like a little bit of kind of like that coda at the end with her putting the jacket in the trash can and driving off. But that kind of is where this whole thing ends up anyways. Is what it feels like. Like it's like they're kind of always at arm's length from one another by timing or by communication. Because at the end of this, she just dips on his ass. She's like, I'm out of here. I forgot about that. He comes back to the cabin after going and meeting with kind of the Vongers after they've had the kind of the evening of Martin trying to murder, Mikael and Lisbeth. And then she's just gone from the story again.
Well, she sees him with Erica and is just like, okay, that's it. And then, yeets out of there. And then we get that great Silence of the Lambs ending where she's having an old friend for dinner.
That is kind of what it feels like.
It is. I mean, when she puts on that blonde wig and I'm just like waiting for her to put the Panama hat on over it.
For me, the end of Dragon Tattoo, all of them, both the book and these two movies, has always been the weakest part. Because it's going to sound terrible, but I'm not sure I care about her going around to the Caymans and doing all that. Like, I don't think they needed to give it as much time as they give it, which is in the movies, it's a fair amount. Mm-hmm. And in the book, it's like, 50, 60 pages type thing. It's like the book keeps going after the Martin Wenger stuff gets taken care of. And again, it's to wrap up the Wennerstrom stuff from the beginning, but you almost kind of forget about it by the end of the movie. You're like, oh, right, there was something else here. And even in the American one and in the Swedish one, it's an unsatisfying conclusion to that story either way. It's unsatisfying in the book too. That's why it almost feels like an afterthought. It's like, and then he got killed in the Caymans by the people that he was defrauding. Okay.
Well, I don't know Swedish actors that well. So watching the Swedish version, I'm not distracted by the other people that are in the movie. I'm not distracted by the Wenger family. Whereas when I watch the American one, it's like, oh, here's Chris Plummer. Oh, here's Stellan Skarsgård. Even Steven Berkoff in there as the lawyer that puts Blomkvist in touch with Henrik Wenger. It's like, wow, like you're watching this and you're like, oh, I know that. Oh, I see that guy. Oh, I know that person too. And it's like, I don't know any of these Swedish actors, and it's only been since this movie came out that I know Nyqvist and Rapace. So it's very much a clean slate as far as all of these other Swedish actors in here. I'm not like, oh, it's that guy. And so, I see Stellan Skarsgård. I'm just like, well, there's a good chance he's a killer. Pretty sure, if it was one of the other Skarsgårds, for sure they'd be the killer, because a lot of them just play murderers quite a bit, especially, is it Peter Sarsgaard? That just is always a piece of shit and everything.
I thought, wait, is it, or Bill, who's the one that played Pennywise?
I think that's Bill. Yeah, it's Sarsgaard. It's not actually. He's not actually related. So I was making a joke there.
Oh, okay. Yes. I was like, are you talking about the guy that's not related to them?
Yeah, I was. But no, I mean, between Alexander, who sometimes he plays a piece of shit. He was a really good piece of shit in The Stand. But yeah, definitely Bill. It's like, as soon as I see that guy show up in something, I'm like, oh, okay, well, he's going to murder somebody.
Well, and there was one that was in Westworld too. Gustav Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to lie to you. Stellan Skarsgård is amazing in the American one.
So good.
He's so good. It's almost unfair because that whole diatribe that he goes on when he finally kind of lets loose what's going on is the scariest part of the movie. He is a force in that scene. It's almost too bad that the movie doesn't live up to that in a lot of ways. I really like the American one, but it has a lot of failings that I'm able to overlook. Also, can I just ask you something? Does it feel like it's also kind of just like a James Bond movie with that intro?
Oh boy, that intro feels very odd.
Bondian, right? Very Bond adjacent, especially Craig Bond with the CGI women turning into things. I love it. I love that cover of the Immigrant Song too. That shit's seared in my brain. But there are some weird things that again, Stellan Skarsgård, he's so good, but he, again, the moment you see him on screen, even if you don't know anything about him, it's he seems like a guy who plays evil characters because he is. And yeah, no, you're right. I mean, again, it goes back to the whole Daniel Craig thing of I can't get past the fact that you're Daniel Craig. I don't believe you as a journalist, bro. Come on now.
Yeah, I have no problems with that. I don't know if it's just that I have been a fan of his for a long time, ever since he showed up. And when was the first time I ever saw him show up in something? Maybe one of the Lara Croft movies.
Oh yeah. The first one.
Yeah, the very first Tomb Raider. And I'm trying to remember if I saw him in anything else before that, but I mean, I've been a fan of his since then, and so I kind of can buy him in other things. But I know where you're coming from. If he had just adopted a Southern accent, this would be a Benoit Blanc film.
And that's the problem. Why didn't he just do like, why didn't he just do a Swedish accent? Everybody else is trying something. Even Rooney Mara, like, I think she's the most successful of like trying to do an accent. First thing I ever saw Daniel Craig in, I was in 9th grade. We were shown, for whatever reason, in world history or world politics, The Power of One.
Oh, wow.
That, like, the PK Keith movie, like, yeah, and he plays the bad guy in that movie.
Oh, wow.
And he calls one of the characters a piss cop, and he like pisses in a hat, like a helmet, and puts it on the character's head. And I remember like not realizing who that was, and then seeing him cast as James Bond. I was like, oh, fuck, that guy? Like, it's not that I don't like Daniel Craig. I just don't like him as James Bond. And I think that has like soured almost everything else that he's ever been in, because I really don't resonate with that James Bond at all.
I really like that first one. I love Casino Royale, but after that, the whole series shit the bed for me.
Yep.
Because in that one, it's like, well, we've talked about this before and people can go back and listen to that. But my argument always is that James Bond says, do I give a shit when it comes to shaken, not stirred martini? And then after that, it feels like, oh, yeah, of course I want a shaken, not stirred martini. Of course I want to drive an Aston Martin, have a Walther Peak PK. And just, I have to be this thing now. Whereas that first one, Casino Royale, felt like he was just like, I'm not beholden to all of these trappings of this character. And that's what I love about it. Yeah,
I'm with you. I mean, it was that expectation of like, we're doing something different. And then you didn't do anything different at all. You were beholden to the people who complained, but I guess the people weren't complaining loud enough initially. They said they liked it, but then they didn't. So I don't know. I'm with you. I mean, I still think Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace are a good 1-2, and that's the only redeeming quality of that second movie, because that second movie.
I do not like Quantum of Solace at all.
The last time you watched it was probably when we watched it together.
Yeah. Otherwise, I will just stay away from that forever. Yeah. Thank you.
Daniel Craig can't redeem those movies. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I don't expect him to, but him being in them also, for me, it's just... a lot of the Daniel Craig stuff I've seen has just been James Bond stuff or this. Otherwise, he's fine. But he's also not really always asked to do a lot. Like, other than Knives Out, like, I get the appeal. But, like, what Daniel Craig is doing, anybody else doing it would be laughable. Like, it would be a joke. Like, people would be like, that's a bad accent. Why are you doing that? But because it's Daniel Craig, it's like, okay. So in my mind, like, Daniel Craig has kind of exceeded where you can kind of, he's an actor now. Like, he's Daniel Craig. You know what you're getting when you cast him. It's not, he's such a personality now that it's fine. It is what it is. I did not know that he's going to be playing William S. Burroughs in the film adaptation of Queer. So
wow.
It's going to be Daniel Craig again. Like,
wow.
Someone looked at Burroughs and thought Daniel Craig should play that guy.
Also, didn't really care for in the American version that it doesn't feel like the relationship between Erica Berger and Mikael Blomkvist is that strong. Whereas in the Swedish one, I really feel that this is going on. And, they make mention, I can't even remember when they make mention of her husband, but that becomes kind of a big deal as well, that she's having this affair and that he is divorced. And I think they talk a little bit about it in the US version, but they don't talk about it in the Swedish version until maybe like the third movie.
Yeah, I think they explain it in the first book as like her husband knows that she's like, he's cucking him essentially. Like he's a cuck. Like, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's kind of, because he's like, it seems to be that her husband understands. But yeah, that for me is a big failing of like the American one, is like Robin Wright in that role with Daniel Craig, and they don't give him anything to do. I mean, Jesus Christ, Joel Kinnaman is in the movie as a character who is given a lot more to do in the Swedish ones, and he's just like in the background of the American one. Or they even have Beth Davidson in this movie. Like, what? Yeah. Why are you casting big actors in one-line roles? That's my question. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, Julian Sand showing up as young Heinrich. I'm like, what? Where did this come from?
Right. Oh, thank you for mentioning that. That's like the strangest one. He doesn't even have any lines.
Yeah.
None. Just like all through like weird flashbacks. Like, but no lines whatsoever. Never opens his mouth. I mean, you've got Chris Plummer playing the older version of you, so I don't know what anyone else would need to say. But right. I mean, that is the thing that I do think the American one does succeed at, is they put recognizable actors in the roles that matter, so that there is this like level of gravitas. You have Daniel Craig and Chris Plummer in the scene together. But to your point about the Swedish actors, I am an American. I do not have the deepest knowledge base on Swedish films. That's a failing of my own. So I don't know if these people, if someone saw this movie like with Indian cinema and went, oh, that person, and that person, I'm sure they do. And look, these movies this movie was immensely successful. It had a budget of 13 million and it made 104. That's pretty good. But it's also a pretty big indicator of the cultural relevancy of this book, especially at the time, especially at, I would say between like 2005 and 2011 is like the height of the girl with the dragon tattoo kind of fervor. Because that was when I read it initially. That's when all these movies came out. Yeah, there's been a more recent thing that's come out since, but like all of this came out in that corridor. And that's like, this was a big deal then. So this like, it was a big deal when they were like, we're making an American one. And we're going to look at people. Like if you go and look at the list of people they tried to cast as the leads, it's like every single big actor and actress in Hollywood at the time.
Right.
I think Johnny Depp's name showed up at one point, and fuck that, by the way.
Yeah, I remember it was a big deal when Rooney Mara was cast. Like, oh, who's going to be the new girl with the dragon tattoo? And yeah, just that it was 3 years after the Swedish version came out, and what would that be? 7 years after the book came out, because the book came out in 2005, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it was pretty quick compared to some things that happen in Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, and you know, again, I think ultimately they both are trying to do different things. I think they were both. I think the American one was hoping there would be a sequel, but isn't concerned if there was. The Swedish one, the Swedish one knows that there's going to be more. Like the Swedish one has already, like, that's dead set in their mind. So they're doing some things that allow them to, as our friend Rich Adams says, plant and pay off. I mean, they plant the thing about her father and lighting him on fire in this movie. I forgot they mentioned that in the Swedish one. They show like flashbacks to it when she's when Martin Vonger has finally crashed his car, she's walking up to the car. They start showing flashbacks of that. And I was like, oh shit, right. And then they don't do any of that in the American one. They have the one line where he's like, they're in bed together. And in the Swedish one, they don't. In the Swedish one, they know that they're going to talk about it more, so they don't get into it. In the American one, they have to talk about it because there might not be an opportunity for them to ever bring it up again. So he's like, oh, well, why are you still here? She's like, I lit my dad on fire, blah, blah, blah. But she does none of that in the Swedish one. He's just like, I'm glad you're still here. I don't know what you had to deal with. I'm going to be finding out here pretty quick, but I'm glad you're still here.
Well, it feels like she is much more willing to talk in the American version, whereas Rapace is just like, unless it is absolutely necessary, I am not going to say anything to anybody. And
as much as I like Rooney Mara, I think Noomi Rapace's version of Lisbeth Salander is the best version. At least to this. I mean, again, say what you will about being close to the source material, but in terms of what she brings to the role and what the role is able to achieve through all three films, and more specifically this one, I think she does a better job than anybody else at giving us a look at a person who is at odds with the world outside and can't seem to figure out their place in the world. So they're just ultimately not concerned with it. And Rooney Mara she seems weird, but that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, the haircut helps quite a bit as well.
Right.
You know, the haircut, the lack of eyebrows.
Her look is great. I don't think Rooney Mara's ever looked better, frankly. Like that. That's my version of Rooney Mara when I think of Rooney Mara.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. You know, I think she does really rock that look.
Yeah.
I mean, though, again, not as much as Noomi does.
Right. I remember when the American one came out, it was a big deal that Rooney Mara got her nipples pierced for the role. There was like a whole... Do you remember when it came out, there was a one-sheet poster that had her topless on it?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I had it.
Wow.
I have it in my basement, actually, just sitting, never hung up. It's Daniel Craig with his arm, he's behind her and he's got his arm over her chest and her breasts are out, both pierced.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, and it was like, where are they hanging this? The local 12 multiplex? Like, I don't fucking think so. But I have a copy of it. It was super strange. Like, I don't think that's a thing anybody has. I don't think people I don't think are there rules for nudity on posters?
I'm sure there are. Yeah, there's gotta be. I'm really, I know that Blomkvist has a daughter. And he's got an ex-wife that I don't think we ever see, but the daughter shows up in the American one, and she's the one that tips him off to the Bible code. But then he doesn't seem to get it. Like it eventually does take Lisbeth to come up and be like, oh yeah, here's more about this Bible code. And I think that the storytelling in the Swedish one is much more efficient, that becomes her entree into introducing herself to Blomkvist by actually going into his computer and like typing in information, and so that it can actually see that somebody is still in his computer.
Well, and in the American one, like, what purpose does it serve? Like, his daughter is not a character at all. She's a plot. She ends up becoming a plot device.
Right.
Like, Salander is just, I don't know. She's such a dynamic character that I appreciate the Swedish one going through her character more. Like, just feeding more of the plot through her character and more of the everything through her character. The American one doesn't even have the scene where she gets assaulted in the subway. Like,
right.
Which is weird because that's also a huge part of why she has to go to Nils Bjorman to go get the new laptop, and then she gets sexually assaulted. Like, it's weird because, yeah, I think you're totally right. It's they're more concerned at telling this story holistically than just one or two parts of it that they find interesting, which, I mean, again, it would stand to reason given that this is a TV movie that they're given so much more time. But then again, I mean, it is released as a film, but I think they do more to suit the story in the Swedish one. And the American one is more just like atmospheric and some, I mean, again, good performances, but I think the Swedish one stands as a more consistently quality film versus like one. I mean, the highs in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the American one, are very high. I mean, look, you have David Fincher behind the camera. I know you're a fan of his. I'm a huge fan of his. So I'm not going to complain if you get a director of his caliber to adapt this, but you are going to have certain things fall by the wayside because he's not going to be interested, or Steven Zalian, who wrote the script, is not going to be interested. And those things are going to get cut off. And some of it's cultural stuff. And some of it is just American audiences aren't going to care and we don't care. Fine. But again, they're not interested in telling the Lisbeth Salander story. They're interested in telling the Martin Wonger, Harriet Wonger story, which is fine. But then you see what the second and third movie have, and it's like that is what this is about. It's about her. And this is like that first initial moment that you meet her and the case, but then everything becomes about her from here on out.
Yeah, and I have to say the second and third movies, I enjoy them, but you can just tell that they weren't meant for the theater, if that makes sense. Like, it feels so much like I'm watching BritBox or, PBS or something when it comes to that second and third movie. They just feel, I don't want to say cheaper, because they don't really feel cheaper, but just the lighting and the quality of filmmaking. I don't know if that's Daniel Alfredson, the director of the second two, if he just wasn't as good of a director, or if they were just like, yeah, these are going to just play on TV, so shoot them like TV. They feel like TV movies, feel like TV mysteries rather than movies.
I think that's oh my God. So this is kind of the controversial opinion part. I do not like the second and third books of the Millennium series, and the movies I have the same problem with. The story that they're telling, it's just not interesting. Lisbeth Salander's dad is half burned, and he's a criminal mastermind, I guess, who is Russian, who came to Sweden that they're now protecting because he was an asset, and he's her dad. And she gets thrown into the mental asylum because they're protecting her dad. So how is this the Lisbeth Salander story then? Like, that's my question. It's about her dad and her relationship with her dad, and they get one scene together.
Yeah. You know what this is? This is the Star Wars phenomenon.
Right. Exactly.
Because in the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, it is Lisbeth and Martin solving this mystery that has really nothing to do with them, even though, Blomkvist was babysat by Harriet when he was or was it Henrietta?
No, Harriet, yeah. Yeah. The woman who disappeared babysat him, which they don't even mention in the American one.
No.
Because
so
it doesn't.
Got little flashbacks and stuff of her and that necklace, and you get that as a clue and all these kind of things. And then the necklace is really what unlocks it for him, because he's like, oh, you took her necklace. She's like, no, this is my necklace. And then he realized, oh, Harriet is actually a different person than this other woman. So it becomes this, like, really unlocks the whole story. That's great. And then you get to the second and third movies, and it's just like, oh, Luke, it's time to face your father now. And it's like, oh, okay. It's like I like the beginning of The Girl Who Played with Fire and the whole idea of what's that guy's name? Dag
Svensson.
Yes, the new reporter and his fiance or his wife, and she's doing this thesis on human trafficking, and he's there working at Millennium, writing up the story, and they're going to expose all these big politicians. And it sounds just like America, where it's like, yeah, get this, the guy who wrote the legislation is also a customer of these prostitutes, but yet he's outspoken human trafficker guy, and it's
right.
Like, okay, imagine that. And that's great. But then when he dies, then she gets set up for the murder, and you kind of go through all that stuff. Once that is solved, I'm kind of done with it. But then they're like, oh no, here's the girl who kicked the hornet's nest. Here's even more of that story that you might not have cared about that much in The Girl Who Played with Fire.
Well, and in The Girl Who Played with Fire, not only are we introduced to her father, Alexander Zalachenko, the former agent, the former, I guess, turncoat agent who worked for the Swedes and they protected. But we also meet, oh, Jesus Christ, her brother.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Good God in heaven. Look, it's fine. I get it. You want to have a kind of a ruthless golem of a baddie, right? Why?
Yeah.
I get it, but the first story had none of this. The first story was a true crime story with two interesting detectives, right? It's just, you could put Poirot, you could put anybody in there to solve that murder. It doesn't matter. It's a murder mystery that needs to be solved. And you've got two characters uniquely suited to solve the murder. The second and third movies, what the fuck is it about? You said it best, like it's the Star Wars thing. I couldn't stop thinking about it when I was watching. I don't give a fuck about what Lisbeth Salander's character, her motivations are, because it's not really what's driving the character in that first movie. What's driving the character is for her to make good on her protecting other people, seemingly, maybe, who knows? It's not really made clear what her desires are in the first movie. In the second movie, it feels like, oh, I gotta stop my dad, maybe. I have a hard time understanding why we should care so much in the second movie about what Lisbeth Salander's been going through her whole life, because it didn't seem to be important in the last movie.
Mm-hmm. And I hate to be this guy, but Georgi Stachiw, who plays her father, he's 15 years older than Noomi Rapace, and it's just like, you can tell. You're just like, whenever he comes on screen, I'm just like, this guy's way too young. Like, he needs to be like 70, 80 years old. He was born in 1964. He's not that old. And so, like, what they do with the burn makeup, they should have just really overdone it with the burn makeup to also make him look like he's old, because all the other people that are protecting him are old men. It feels like he should have been one of these guys who's just like, I'm 50, 60 years old and I'm banging chicks whenever I want. And oops, I happen to bang Lisbeth Salander's mother, and now I have a problem. Now I have to get her locked up.
But why?
It's
never made clear as to like why it's a problem that he's her dad and that he has kids. Like, through as many times as I've seen these now, like, I still don't understand, why are they doing what they're doing to her? Like, what is it her connection to him? Like, I don't understand how she fits into all this. And maybe I'm just missing the point, but if she wants, like, I get that they pin the murder on her, but what? Like,
yeah.
Why? Because she burned him and he's been sitting and waiting in the wings this whole time. Like,
right.
It's like so Bond villainy and such an opposite of what that first book is. And what made that first book and movie so good is this is not its own story. This ends on a fucking cliffhanger. This is a middle movie, if I've ever seen one. Like,
well, and it's really weird because they murder her guardian, and for the longest time, and this just could be me, Bjorman, right, Peter Anderson. For the longest time, I was getting him and the other guy who eventually goes on trial here. I can't remember what his name is.
Oh, the doctor.
Teleborian. Yeah. I used to get those two mixed up. And so I didn't realize until I was rewatching the movies yesterday, the one guy was ganked, that he got shot in the head, because I was like, well, why are they just showing that video of her getting raped over and over again at the trial? Like, yesterday I was trying to count how many times they show that video because it's so disturbing and they just play the hell out of it
over and over again. The Swedish one loves showing it. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, because it's brutal and like it proves a point, but like you don't even need to hear it. I don't need to hear it, and I don't need to see other people reacting to it. Every time I watch the American Girl with the Dragon Tattoo or the Swedish one, I just fast forward through those scenes. I got no problem admitting it. I don't give a shit. I don't need to see it. I know why she's doing what she's doing. I don't need to watch Noomi Rapace and or Rooney Mara get fake raped on celluloid. It's good. Like, it's good. I don't need to see that. Mm-hmm. There are some things when you watch movies you don't have to watch over and over again. That's one of them. But then when the second and third movie, you're like, you want to see it again? Like, I'm good. Please don't.
Let me back it up. I'll play it again for you.
Yeah. Pause for slow motion. Like, no, we're good. But I think you're totally right. And that's my biggest condemnation of the second and third movies is Lisbeth Salander. I didn't ask for her to be the main character of this and the sole focus. And like, oh, now we got to learn about her backstory. Like, that to me is like, that is totally just like, it's like what they did with Hannibal. It's like what they did with Darth Vader. It's like, we're going to tell you the backstory. It's like, I don't necessarily, like, why do you think I care?
She didn't even need to come back to Sweden. You know, she's in the Cayman Islands, has a boyfriend there, has a nice tan going on. I'm like, why did you come back? You know?
Right.
Did you come back for Blomkvist? That doesn't make any sense because you won't even talk to him. Why did you come back to Sweden? And especially from the Cayman Islands, you know?
Right.
Like, we just talked about how cold it is in Sweden. And it's like, I mean, like, her girlfriend was nice and very nice lady, but, you know, fly her down. Don't just, you know, like, she comes up, sees her for some hot sex, says, here's my apartment, and then that's it. Then fucks off again.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, I just don't understand what's going on in the second movie, why she comes back, why she doesn't just leave. The other thing I don't understand is, like, you know, I think you might agree, like, the entire Dragon Tattoo first book, what's one of the biggest parts that works for the both of us is the interplay between Blomkvist and Salander, right? Mm-hmm. There's none of that.
No.
In the second movie, it's like, oh, yeah, you like them being together? Fuck you. I'm going to keep them separate up until the last frame of the movie. And then, oh, by the way, third movie, they do the exact same fucking thing. Like,
exactly.
Okay, so the last time we see them on screen together is the end of the first movie, and then at the end of the second movie, and then by the third movie, I just don't care anymore.
Right.
Because the sandbox that they're playing in is not as interesting as it used to be. It's the stakes aren't very high. And honestly, the way the girl who played with fire ends, it's like, what else do we need to say here? Like, why is there, we're continuing with more of this? Like, there's more of this.
Right. Yeah, we didn't really need any of that stuff.
I know, because, you know, I mean, again, Zalachenko not dying at the end and her brother getting away, like, that ends up having to be a huge part of the next book until it isn't. Right. Like, her brother is a big part in the second book, and then he just kind of shows up intermittently in the third one, and then Zalachenko dies in, like, again, kind of the way you would expect, given this kind of high intrigue and, you know, John Le Carre type spy shit, where it's like, you won't do what we want, so we have to, you know, neutralize the threat, and we're going to go kill him in the hospital, and then our own guy will kill himself. Like, okay, like, yeah, I get it. Okay, so that last movie didn't matter then, is what you're saying? Like, yeah. I don't know. Like, I just, it's weird that I don't find Lisbeth Salander that interesting of a character when she's under the microscope.
Right. Yeah, you would think you'd be like, oh, cool, more Lisbeth. But it's like, no, just small doses, please. Which
is unfortunate because she is an interesting character, and Noomi Rapace is still good. I mean, don't get me wrong. She's still fantastic in this second movie and third movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I like how Paolo Roberto is a real person. I didn't realize that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, that's a real guy. Like, that's just him playing himself, like, which I did not realize until this most recent time that Paolo Roberto is playing himself in a fictional movie. Yeah.
Now, which one is Paolo Roberto?
He's the guy who fights her brother hand to hand, the boxer.
Oh, okay.
But that's like, he's like a real boxer in, like, real life. So he's just playing himself.
He was a pretty good actor.
Right. But in the book, him and Miriam have a lot more going on in the movie. Once he has that fight with Ronald Niederman, then he's gone.
Right.
Like completely written out of the story.
Okay. That's odd. Very odd.
I just feel like, I think you're right. The second and third movie just feel like they were made for TV. Like, it's just not as competently written. I don't even think the stakes are that high. Like, know, Lisbeth Salander's not going to be in any harm by the end of the story. She'll figure out a way to come out on top. But a bunch of old guys keeping a woman in prison because of her father being an agent is just like, she's caught in the middle of things that she can't control. That's not interesting.
Right. I mean, that the whole system is against her and the corruption in the police and all that. I mean, it does kind of play with the stuff, how, you know, the hypocrisy that we were just talking about, as far as, you know, the guy who writes the legislation is also the biggest purveyor of prostitutes. I'd say that the second two movies are really good for sitting around on a lazy Sunday afternoon. Like, yeah, I wouldn't pay to see them at the theater, but they make a great triple feature, just sitting on the couch, not a whole lot of other stuff going on, not even really needing to pay attention to them that much because they don't do a whole lot.
No, the second and third ones really don't. And, you know, Michael Nyqvist is given more to do in the second and third ones than he is in the first one, because but even then, like, what he's doing is not interesting. He's going and like intimidating politicians who are having sex with sex workers, and showing up late to things. Like, he shows up at the end of the second movie to save her. And like, there's that weird scene where he shows up and Niederman just like leaves, as opposed to just turning around and killing Mikael Blomkvist. Like, right. I don't, it seems, look, I don't want to besmirch the good name of Stieg Larsson, but that first book's good. Yeah. I'm not sure how good the second and third book are, really. I read the second one. I never read the third one, but the second one was okay. I don't remember liking it even that much, which is why, like, I'm, you know, and this is going to sound kind of bad, I'm glad that the American one skipped the second and third books to just jump to the fourth book. Because like, I don't really find the Ronald Niederman, Alexander Zalachenko government conspiracy Teleborian stuff, having seen it 2 or 3 times now, I don't find it that compelling. And like, I'm always glad when it's over, but I'm always like, I wish it had just been something else. Like, this is the route we went down. Like, it reminds me a lot of that, what's the Star Trek movie with Tom Hardy, where it's like the clone of Picard. It's like, this is the path maybe. Yeah. I was like, this is the path you're going down with this. He could have done anything you wanted, and you were just like a clone of Picard. It's like, this is the same thing. It's like, oh, her dad is a bad guy. Like, okay. Yeah. But then the American one comes back with that reboot movie, and it does exactly what this is trying to do. It's how fucking crazy I am. I think that what they're positing in the American remake and the fourth book is a more interesting version of this. The second and third books is because it's talking about the same thing. It's talking about her sister. She magically has a sister now, and her sister is like her father, and she's following in the footsteps of her dad, and she's now a criminal mastermind. Like, that's much more interesting than her dad is an old burned guy who has this giant golem who has, the fuck does he have? Like, congenital. Yeah.
Analgesic something or other. Basically can't feel pain.
Right. Yeah. They don't do a whole lot with that either. Not in the movies. In the books they do.
Yeah. I mean, I like the whole thing of, you know, he's pretty much, you can't beat him up whatsoever. The whole thing where she eventually uses the nail gun. I love that part on him.
Nails his feet to the ground and then lets the bikers have their way with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That for me is one of the high points of the third movie, for sure, is that scene. But it's kind of like you're mired in this muck of just, it's okay. Like, I don't know, maybe that first movie set the bar way too high. I mean, that's part of it, right? Like, that first movie's so good that the second and third one were never going to be that good, but it's almost like they kind of just knew, they kind of gave up. They didn't even try. And what's surprising is you would think that the second and third books / movies aren't adaptations of Stieg Larsson's stuff, given that he ends up passing away, but they're all adapting his source material. Like, I don't know. Maybe he's a one-trick pony. I don't know. I like Dragon Tattoo. The other two have moments of bright spots, but I don't think that they're worth the rewatch the way the first Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is.
I agree. Yeah, I had a real hard time with The Girl in the Spider's Web, as I said before. And if you held a gun to my head right now, I couldn't tell you what it's about, because it was defying me to pay attention to it. Just like, oh, you think this is interesting? Well, here, let's switch gears real quickly, and you won't be interested in anymore. So how do you feel about the girl in the spider's web?
So I hadn't seen it. I kind of forgot that it came out. It came out 5 years ago, which is crazy. Mind blowing. What's funny is Fede Alvarez directed Don't Breathe and the Evil Dead remake, and which you're not a fan of the Evil Dead remake, right?
I'm not a fan. No.
Which I understand. Like it is definitely in a lot of ways it's an endurance test of a movie in a way that the original isn't. But what's weird is Fede Alvarez, I would consider him a horror director. Evil Dead, Don't Breathe, an upcoming Alien movie. Like, okay, so if we use what he has worked on before as a kind of primer to understand where he's going, this movie makes no sense why he directed it. Because she's an action. First off, my issue with Girl in the Spider's Web is actually just the characterization of Lisbeth Salander. Why the fuck is she like an action star now? Like, she's like a badass in the way of like Ethan Hunt, which is fine, but that's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah. The thing I do remember the most about the girl in the spider's web is motorcycling and just her on that crotch rocket tearing around. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I know that there was a motorcycle in the other movies, but yeah, it's like, to your point, she does not seem like she's going to be able to, jump off of that motorcycle and, crash it into a building as she like lands in a 3-point landing or something. And that's what girl in the spider's web, that's what that feels like to me, is just like she has suddenly become somebody from the Matrix.
Which, in my opinion, undercuts what made the character interesting.
Oh,
it's like now she's just a generic character like every other generic female heroine, which again, if that's what you're going for, fine. It's not what made the character interesting. I will say, like you've mentioned, Claire Foy is fantastic. I don't think her characterization of Lisbeth Salander is wrong. I think it makes sense for that movie that they're telling and the story that they're telling here. It's a very much more action oriented. She's like a Jack Reacher almost, or like a Jack Ryan, like the actor that they recast. Because here's the other thing, and we didn't mention it. This is technically a sequel to the 2011 American film.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a sequel. Like they mention, they do that kind of like bullshitty thing where they're like, "What about that thing that happened when you were in, Herdegarden or wherever?" And they even mention her dad a couple times. Like he's in the beginning of the movie, like a version of him that we've never seen before, which the non-burned version. But ultimately, it's weird because the story is, she is facing her sister, who is just as smart as she is, just as crafty as she is. And Sylvia Hoeks plays her sister, and I think she's a better foil than any of the characters the villains were in the second and third movie were. But again, it just kind of, comes back to the Star Wars thing of it just feels a little rote. Like, oh, Lisbeth Salander has black hair. Her sister has blonde hair. She wears black. Her sister wears white. She's the girl with the dragon tattoo / I guess wasp. Her sister is the spider. Like, oh, yawn, guys, come on. But at the same time, like, it makes it feel very James Bondy, Mission Impossible-y, which is, I don't know if that's what Stieg Larsson was going for. That first movie and first book are such a like quiet serial killer thing where the action that happens is like he gets shot at when he's running. And then it's like almost an anticlimax in the Dragon Tattoo where like, Martin Wonger is driving and then his car just flips over and he dies. In this movie, it'd be like, and she chases him down and pulls out a gun and shoots him. It's like, there's none of that in that. And this, it feels like they just wanted her to be something different that's not what she was before, which is fine if that's your interpretation of the character. But I don't think it tonally is the same character from the American movie, which is what they're claiming this is.
Yeah, I wouldn't have really ever picked up on it. It kind of reminds me of when they recast Lara Croft, and who was the new Lara Croft?
Oh, Alicia Vikander.
Thank you. And it was just like, yeah, there's these other movies and this is the same person. And I'm like, is it? Is it really? Is it really supposed to be the same Lara Croft? I don't think so.
I will say that there are a couple bright spots in the Swedish one. Claes Bang is in the movie. He plays Dracula in the BBC Dracula that they redid a couple years ago. He's great. He looks blonde for seemingly no reason. And I always like Lakeith Stanfield. I think he's so good. He's amazing. Like he almost has no reason to be in the movie, but I am glad that like it has to do with NSA, so they have to have like an American actor in there. I'm totally cool with it. Stephen Merchant's given nothing to do.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. Yeah. I'm such a fan of his.
I really wish Lakeith had come back for the Glass Onion. I was like, oh, cool. It's not only is it, Benoit Blanc, but it's Cassius Green as well.
Right.
No.
I love Lakeith Stanfield. I think he's a phenomenal actor who we have only seen a very small offering of what he will undoubtedly offer to acting as a whole. I'm sure he'll end up with God knows what, an Academy for something, or who knows. I mean, he is a very dynamic actor, and having him in the movie is fantastic because he plays off of Claire Foy really well.
I call him Cassius Green. That's his character from Sorry to Bother You. He's Lieutenant Elliot in Knives Out.
I don't think that movie, Sorry to Bother You, gets talked about enough.
Oh my God. It is so good.
What a weird ass movie.
Oh, I love it.
that I'm surprised you've never done an episode on that movie for your show.
I have been trying to get a hold of Boots Riley, so if Boots ever wants to come on the show, I would love to have him.
I absolutely love that movie. It's such like a whatever, man. That was by the end of that movie, I was just like, whatever, man. Mm-hmm. But he's great. He's great all the time. So having him in this just adds to it. But yeah, ultimately, it just feels like a movie that anybody could have been in. Like you could have put any character, Jack Reacher, Jack Ryan, some new character, another literary character, like Ethan Hunt even, or I mean, even James Bond, because they're trying to steal an NSA thing that allows them to access all the world's nuclear codes. And it's like, okay, so this is a world-ending threat. The original Girl with the Dragon Tattoos, that guy's just a serial killer and he's killing people. Like, it ain't no world ending anything. So it's weird that the stakes like amplify so much more between the first and the second and third books, and even the third and the fourth books.
Yeah, it's pretty outrageous to be like, what? When did this happen? When, like you think about like the Fast and the Furious movies, and you're like, hey, remember when this was about stealing VCRs?
Yeah, exactly. And you just ask
now
yourself,
they're in outer fucking space.
Right. And we were making jokes about them being in outer space for like 5 years. We're like, well, where can they go now that they've gone everywhere else? Oh, they'll go to space. And then those assholes had the audacity to fucking do it. So good on them, I guess. But yeah, it's just, I mean, I get it that action movies are entertaining and that these kind of movies are what a bulk majority of the movie-going public want to see, but that's just not true to this character. It's just not true to the character of Lisbeth Salander as I remember her from the first three movies. Now, I started reading the fifth book, the book that comes after this movie, The Girl Who Takes an Eye for an Eye. And she seems more like the character from the OG books, less the Claire Foy with a gun shooting people. That's the other thing. How do you feel about Lisbeth Salander using a gun?
It doesn't seem like her style. I mean, she uses that gun to threaten her rapist pig supervisor guy, which then gets her in trouble. She seems much more like a taser person.
Right.
Just up close and personal, maybe a knife, but I doubt it.
Right, because at the end of the American one, she picks up the gun and she goes, "Can I kill him?" And I'm like, "What? What? Like, what?" Because they make such a point in the Swedish one of going, I couldn't have done what you did. Let that guy just burn alive in the car. And she goes, well, that's because you're you and I'm me.
Right.
But in the American one, like, hey, give her a gun, and have her chase him down with a gun. And then in The Girl in the Spider's Web, she's rocking a gun the whole movie. Movie, she's got a gun. I'm just like, look, if that's the character you want, maybe just write your own book and don't call it Lisbeth Salander.
Right. Yeah. But how else am I going to make money off of it? If I call it Lisbeth Salander, then there's a guaranteed audience.
Coincidentally, Girl in the Spider's Web did not make any money. And there will be no sequel to it, I'm assuming. And like you mentioned at the top, they had plans to do a new series. And I guess they went with Lord of the Rings instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you would agree. I think the next time they adapt this, it probably will be that, right?
Yeah.
It will be a TV series, an HBO or an Amazon or a Hulu will do something. And it will probably not have it. It will probably have nothing to do with the original 3 books. It may have nothing to do with the second trilogy. It may be solely based off of the upcoming trilogy, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is finally being written by a female author.
Nice.
Shocking. I know. Up until this point, David Langerkrantz and, Stieg Larsson, neither one of them are women. They'll by their names alone. Yeah. So I actually am really excited because the newest book hasn't come out yet, but it's coming out later this year and it's written by a female author. And I believe she's signed on to write at least 2 more books past that. So I'll be curious to see if maybe the character kind of diverts back towards a little bit of a quieter piece, or if we're going to get more of like, she's chasing down nukes and shit. Cause again, like she's not James Bond, even if Daniel Craig was in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, she's not a Bond-esque character, but I guess if you're trying to be entertaining, that's the direction you need to go.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to do that, just do a sequel to Salt, you know?
Right. Like that's already out there. I mean, are people chomping at the bit for that?
Yeah.
But
or Atomic Blonde 2 or
right.
Red Sparrow 2, or I'm trying to remember, there was one other female spy movie that came out like in quick succession. Well, there was the oh gosh, what was that? There was the one with
Buttercup. Is that what it's called?
Was that what that was? I thought
like
it was
Jennifer Garner.
Yeah, there was Jennifer Garner, but there was another one too, because there were like the 2 Russian dancer type movies.
Oh yeah, Red Sparrow and
the other one I actually liked better.
Red Sparrow was not good.
No, it wasn't. But the other one with the model I thought was better.
Oh, I don't even remember that one.
Yeah, now I'll have to search my memory banks or just ask my wife because she's seen it many, many times.
But I want to start bringing this episode to a close with a little bit of an idea where the series may be heading. So the synopsis, the first couple lines for the synopsis of the new book: change is coming to Sweden's far north. Its untapped natural resources are sparking a gold rush, with the criminal underworld leading the charge. But it's not the prospect of riches that brings Lisbeth Salander to the small town of Gaskus. She's been named guardian to her niece Svala, whose mother has disappeared. 2 things soon become clear. Svala is a remarkably gifted teenager and she's being watched. And then the next sentence is, Mikael Blomkvist is also heading north. I feel like maybe they're returning back to what made the first book so good, is a small investigation in northern Sweden.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Kind of a what was that one with Al Pacino that was a remake of a Swedish film? I think it was Insomnia. Yeah. And that other female spy movie was Anna with Helen Mirren was in there. Yeah, and that was a Luc Besson joint.
And look, I'm glad that Stieg Larsson's books clearly have more legs than Jo Nesbo's books, because for fuck's sake, that adaptation of The Snowman that we got to come. But that's the only other comparison that I have, is that, because it's Harry Hule and Jo Nesbo, or Harry Hule and Lisbeth Salander. That's it. And those are the 2 kind of like Nordic characters that we have. And like that Snowman movie was, it was such a fucking mess. But,
I will tell you that there are a pair of writers, Maj Stowall and Per Wahul. And I know I'm just butchering their names, but they came up with a detective named Martin Beck, and he's got a whole series of stuff I highly recommend. And they made 2 movies. Well, I know that they've made a whole series of movies in Sweden, and they've made a few movies that are available here in the U.S., including The Laughing Policeman with my good friend Walter Matthau in there. And one was The Man on the Roof, I think is another one, which I have yet to see, but they have a whole series of books and then the TV versions of them. So highly recommended.
Yeah, I'm a fan of this area of the world and their kind of crime storytelling. Like Jo Nesbo's book, The Snowman, is really good. He is a really good writer. That movie, on the other hand, is fucking a ghoulish nightmare. The only funny thing about that movie, do you remember the poster? the poster for that movie. It's got the little drawing of the snowman. It says, "Mr. Police, you could have saved her. I gave you all the clues." It has this little snowman, and the internet memed the shit out of it. That was the best part of that movie. But
so bad.
That's like the only comparison that we as Western Americans have to like this kind of story and this world of like Norwegian storytelling outside of the things you're talking about. But like those are the big ones, and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo stands alone because it's way better than those for sure, for at least for that one. And again, I don't think we're going to see any more Yo Nesbo stuff being adapted given how hard that stuff failed. But I mean, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo persists, and I'm sure I can more or less guarantee that we will see something else in the future. It's almost a guarantee.
Yeah, I've got a friend who's very into detectives from other countries, and if I asked him like, "Hey, give me 7 Swedish detectives," he'd be like, "Oh, well, here you go," and just rattle them off because he's very into keeping up with our neighbors and even more than U.S. detectives. So there's some really great detective fiction being written around the world.
And if you ask your friend what he thinks of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, oh, that's not even very good. And I would probably believe that this is probably the most popular, but not necessarily like quality wise. Again, those second and third Millennium books, I just don't vibe with, and there's nothing that they could do to change that because the movies are very close adaptations of the books. So it's like the story alone I'm not a fan of. So yeah, there's probably way better, but these are the most popular. So, and yeah, the Salander character will persist because she's an iconic character. She has an iconic design. She's interesting, and she's been portrayed well enough so far that there is a level of like, I wouldn't say gravitas, but like there's a level of like importance to being cast as that role. They're not just casting somebody as Lisbeth Salander. Even Claire Foy was like, we're making this decision. We're going to really put our best foot forward to nail the casting. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It was fun to get to talk about all these, but I don't know if, I mean, maybe if they release something else, but like if it's, unless it's something new, I'm not like, I'm returning to The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest again. Like, no way. No way. So
blame you.
Yeah. Mike, final thoughts on all of the Girl with the things.
Yeah, we haven't talked about 30 Days of Night with the paranormal Girl with the Dragon.
Oh my God. Is that a thing?
There was a thing. Yeah, that was a thing.
Was that a whatchamajiggy, the Friedberg and Seltzer joint?
No, there's somebody even worse than them, I think. So that's really saying something. I haven't even tried these, and there's like multiple of these crazy titles. So it was called, it's not even going to show me. It's starting to show me The Girl with Gifts. I know there was a mashup called How to Train Your Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, but that wasn't this. 30 Nights of Paranormal Activity with the Devil Inside the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Jesus.
I'm sure it's great.
Yeah.
Directed by Craig Moss. Oh, he's the one who directed all those other movies. The 40-year-old virgin who knocked up Sarah Marshall and felt super bad about it. He directed that Badass movie, though, the one that has Danny Trejo in it.
Badass Trilogy, man.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Why is that a thing?
Breaking Wind, which was a parody movie of the Twilight books, which was terrible. I actually have sat down and watched that. I haven't seen any of the other of these, like The Nightmare Nurse, 911 Nightmare, Let Us In, The Charnel House. So, yeah. Final thoughts about these movies, though. If you haven't seen either the American or Swedish Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, I would highly recommend that you check one or both of them out. And then you kind of skip the rest, unless, like I said, you just happen to catch them and you're at home on a Sunday and there's not a whole lot of other stuff going on. They pass the time pretty well.
And hey, folks, if you're really about watching things for free, they're all on Tubi.
There you go.
Except for the American one. And The Girl in the Spider's Nest. Those are, not. But these Swedish ones are.
The Swedish versions that I watched, I don't know if what ones are on Tubi. They're probably like the 2.5 hour versions or 2 and something. But I was watching 3 hours of each of these. Like I guess it was the mini series that they showed in Sweden. And man, oh man, that was quite an investment of time, but it was totally worth it. And I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, when I watch these and I happen to come across the shorter version, I'm just like, well, where's this scene and where's this scene? It's kind of like trying to watch the original Lord of the Rings without the special editions.
No, I'm totally with you. It's I think I think everyone should watch because I watched the miniseries the first time I watched this. I think everybody should watch the miniseries once. If you want to revisit them, I mean, again, do so at your own peril. But I'm with you. I think the first movie, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Swedish and English, are worth checking out. If not just to see how one story can be told two different ways by two distinct and unique sets of voices. But I'm with you. Like, beyond that, it's going to be, what do you resonate with? Does this interest you? Are you engaged and interested throughout? I think if anything, I could suggest maybe give The Girl with the Hornet, or the fuck is it called? The Girl Who Danced in the Spider's Nest Web. I don't know. The titles are.
Chris has lost his mind. It's been an hour and a half. He's got off the deep end.
The Girl with the Thing with the guy in the place. No, the Girl in the Spider's Web. I would say that one is a weird thing that exists on its own that might be for the right person. They may resonate with it more than they resonate with any of these other movies, because it is an action movie. And if that's your bag and you want to watch another movie with a female heroine kicking ass, you could do worse. You could do a lot better, but you could do a lot worse. So, hey, I mean, it gave us an opportunity to sit down for an hour and a half and talk about these movies.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah. So until the next time we do a crossover episode, which may be a couple years, because I think the last time we did one was the Justice League.
Holy cow. Well, we might have to do one. There is a sequel to this little movie called Dune coming out, so maybe we'll do another one of those.
Speaking of Stellan Skarsgård.
Yes. My Dune.
Yeah. Oh, not that hashtag not my Dune.
Not my Harkonnen.
Yeah, God. I would do a crossover on that. Yeah, why not? Right? Yeah. I mean, I don't want to see that movie, but I'll watch it if we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. What did they say? It picks up just where you fell asleep in the last one.
Boom! Fuck you guys in your 3-hour Dune movie. Hey, you know what? You know what the Dune movie has in common with Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? It's very monochrome. Very monochromatic.
Yeah,
yikes. Yeah, whatever. Hey.
Well, when all the furniture's from IKEA, you know.
Ooh, right. That's fair. How many moms do you guys have on set? We need 5 more moms, please. So until the next time we do a crossover episode, or whenever we chat, Mike, where can people find you?
You can always find me and all my stuff over at weirdingwaymedia.com, including the projection booth, the life and times of Captain Barty Miller, Dreams for Sale. Gosh, what else? Ranking on Bass, midnight viewing. There's so many opportunities for you to hear my voice. And
you should take all of them, folks, because, because you should. And if you're not, what's wrong with you? As for me, you can find this show here at Weirding Way Media or at Kulturecast.com. Either way, you're finding the show. Like, rate, and review wherever you get it. And yeah, Mike, thank you again for joining me. This was fun. Out of the blue, but fun.
A lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me, man.
And as always, we'll catch you on the next episode.